So welcome to Xara One-on-One. Once again, my name is Alfonso, and I'm really excited to talk about using Xara and putting it to the best of use for whatever it is that your needs are. So what we'll cover today, we will go over how to create solid content in minutes. I think that at this day and age, this is the easiest way to, Xara is one of the easiest way to scale your content in a very consistent manner, and while keeping your brand safe and adding to your digital content inventory. Secondly, we'll talk about collaborating on creative projects, how to best do it with your team or with external parties, while keeping also security on the projects that you're working on, as well as managing and scale your visual communication as you continue to try to expand. I wanted to keep this as interactive and wild as possible. I didn't want to have one of those presentations where I go through boring slides and bore you out. I wanted to show you how I do it on a day-to-day basis as I work with it. So yeah, without further ado, let me actually go back to Xara and the actual platform and show you how it works. So when you land on it, the first thing that you'll notice is when you create a team is that you have several ways of getting started. The first one would be to start with templates. So on your left-hand side, you'll have a ton of different templates depending on what industry you select. During your setup experience, you might get more suggestions based on that. So if you're in real estate, you will get real estate categories that will propel you forward, or whether you're in HR, you might get those suggested first as well. The other option is to start by importing a file. This is one of the great things about Xara, is that you can actually start with any sort of static file, whether it's a PDF or a PowerPoint or what have you, and you can transform it into any other format, resize it, and or merge it with other documents. For example, in the case of PDFs, you can pretty much turn it into a live document once again, and squeeze the juice out of it, get the most value, so it doesn't become one of those stale documents lost somewhere in your local drive. But let's start with the document. Let's maybe create something. Let's see what we have in most popular. Let's not pick out any COVID related things. Let's grab this letterhead. Actually, let's grab a booklet maybe, or a brochure. Let's see what we got here. Perhaps a proposal. Actually, I like those better. These are always clean. They kind of reflect what I do in a way. So yeah, let's just go with this one maybe. Let's open it up, and it's optimizing it as I have my Xara branding already activated. Therefore, what's happening in the back is that my brand is currently being applied. As you can see, my logo is already there, and also I can see that there were some smart fields in here that we'll touch upon this in a little bit. You will also notice that my colors are also in there. So essentially, given that I have already started a brand, I have several versions of my brand as well as others. I can change it as I want. Basically, my whole branding will change depending on what I select. And it's actually pretty simple to do it, but I think it's the first step to creating a valuable brand, to actually have all your documents properly branded with your colors, with your fonts, with your with everything that entails brand assets. Basically, I think that a lot of people go to fancy companies and get all these brand books created only to forget about them or leave them shelved. One thing that I love about Xara is exactly that you can just switch it around, and you'll see that that it applies to everything. So it's all about creating freely and building your brand as you go. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that yeah, you'll notice that we have a couple of fields here that are typically smart fields. You'll see that it says company name. Let me zoom in a little bit, actually. You'll see that these fields are typically those fields that you have on most of your legal documents or proposals or presentations. And these are what we call smart fields. Smart fields basically are what allow you to create and scale your content as fast as possible without room for mistakes. So essentially, you can set them up on your, you can set them up straight from your workspace, but in my case, for example, I have them saved on our team assets. So basically, whether it's your team name or your contact details or any sort of important business details will always be here, and you can change them as we go. Most templates have already some of these fields in there, so you can just switch them as you go and continue working on them. The other thing that I wanted to mention about this is that as you'll see, we have the editing experience on Xara is extremely contextual. So what do I mean by that? So essentially, we have a text field right here where I'm selecting the text, and you'll see that both the menu adapts to whatever it is that I have selected. So in this case, the text. So basically, my most used text inputs or options will always appear here or here, and I can change them as I go, whatever I want, whenever I want to create a list or indentation, whatever that may be. But if I select a picture, for example, this is an image, Xara will immediately detect that it is exactly that. So if I want to replace it, let's say that I want to put my beautiful face in there, let's just go to my team assets, which is basically one of the many collaboration forms that we have. You can save images that you believe your team will use often, or that you need your company to use, and just keep them here on the side. So let's replace it with my handsome face, of course, and I'm right there. Let's move it a little bit, maybe, or actually, whatever, doesn't matter. And of course, you can change the colors and all the context that you have in here. The other thing is that you can, of course, flip images any way you want. If you want to, for example, change the color of your backgrounds and all that based on your images, you can also do so. So there's always the options to continue just changing based on whatever it is that you have in front of you. The other thing that I wanted to mention is working with people, right? So in this day and age, I think that most of us are working either with other people in our teams, particularly if you're in marketing, like myself, or if you are in, for example, working with clients. You can also get feedback from them, work with them on the document in real time, and get notifications anytime anyone gets anytime anyone actually says something or assigns a task to you. So the easiest way to do it, of course, is to basically invite them. So let's say that I invite Paulo, who is our great designer. He always ensures that I'm not destroying our documents, and I will invite him as an editor. He will take care of cleaning up my mess. You can leave a message and tell him, hey, Paulo, I left a mess. Please help. So Paulo will come in and he will accept the request, and we'll continue to do this. You can actually invite as many people as you want into the document. If you have a list of people, they will be included. They will leave comments. So if I need to leave a comment, for example, I can just leave it here. I will just drop it here, and I'll say Paulo, who is already in documents. Just wanted to say hello. We'll get annoyed, but that's essentially how you do it. And you can scroll through the comments. You can check them as resolved anytime you actually resolve them. So it's a pretty convenient way to keep track of the work that's been done. And not only that, but also to actually maintain a certain single source of truth, right? So one of the common problems that marketers have, I think, is that there's this decentralized workflow where people comment on Slack, or they will send one thing here, one thing there. Here, all the distribution happens within Xara. So whether it's in the documents, you can collaborate there, or if you are sharing files, you can also not just invite people from there, but you can start by adding people to your workspace, so to your account. So what happens is, for example, as you see here, I have a ton of members and admins who are working with me. They are able to comment as they go. The other thing that I wanted to mention, going back to the document, is that permission management is something that allows for some very safe collaboration. So for example, you'll see that I have my brand set up, which is applied to pretty much any document. And whenever any of these brands are updated, all the other documents that were created in the past will update with your brand. So what happens is you will always not only work on the latest version. The other thing is that only admins can actually change this. So there's no risk on letting someone, work on the document and tailor it as much as they want, because at the end of the day, you can lock certain aspects of it. So for example, if I want to keep this Xara logo in place, what I will do is I will simply lock it. So as you can see, it was unlocked. Now I will lock it. What happens is that people will not be able to move it around. So if I just lock aspect ratio, they will not be able to change that. And you can choose the level of security within each and every one of the things that you create. The other thing that's important to mention about this is that once you have locked something in place, once you are very happy with a template, let's say that it is something that you want to replicate in the future, you can do so without creating a million different versions of your document. So why would you do this in the first place, right? So yes, you work in real time, so you're always working on the latest version. But let's say that you create something that you want to later use as an asset to be used for as a company-wide asset, but you don't want people to destroy it and you don't want people to modify it too much. So you will actually save it as a team template, save as a template. And what will happen is you will save it as something that other people will basically click on, and it will create a copy that is only for them, and no one else will be able to see it. So they will essentially be able to work on their own, saving a ton of time. So what do I mean by that? For example, If I go to my workspaces, so you can see that I have worked on a ton of different documents, but let's go into team files, no, actually team templates. And I have a ton of different assets. So for example, for customer success or marketing assets or sales assets even. And for example, sometimes I give different presentations, and when I give presentations, every now and then I create one that is pretty much outstanding and I save it as a team asset. So let's open it. Great. So once I've opened it, this presentation is already saved into my personal account. So you'll see that it has a 1. That's because it's a copy. And let's say that I start changing things. There will be certain aspects that will be locked, for example. Let's just add something here. I mean, this, perfect. So I can tweak it as much as I want. I can save aspects from it. Let's say that I want to save this picture, or I want to save this as a component for later on. I don't know why I would save this in particular, but I can do it, no problem. For example, let's say that that I want to just for argument's sake. Actually, this is a terrible thing to say. I don't want to do this to my team. But let's just grab this one and I'll add 2 assets, and I can save it as a logo or as a picture or as a component. Let's just say that I save it as a logo, and it will be directly saved, as you see here, and I can use it later on. Typically, for example, in my components, I have, I don't know, for example, product comparisons. I think this is what this is. Let's just go back 1 second. Let's say that I want to replace this with a component. I can do so very easily by just let's change it with a team asset, and let's replace it with actually no. Actually, what I wanted to show you was that I wanted to bring a component in. So let's do it. Let's just drag and drop it in here. So, whoops, selected it twice. So essentially, anything that you create, you can pretty much save it to your team and leave it up to them to work with it. If you are an admin, if you are a guest or a member or someone who is external to the company, there's no way you will be able to access it, given that for security reasons, your team should be able to control how this works. And that's about it in terms of team assets. Of course, anything can be replaced, whether it is that you want to, I don't know, for example, search for an image or something of that sort. It can be replaced with any image. You can just search for it here, or you can upload images from your computer or cloud storage or anywhere you want. Another thing to be mentioned is that you can also bulk upload stuff, so you will always have the option of keeping and populating your digital asset inventory as you go. And once everything, and once you're done with a document or just want to save it, actually they're automatically saved. So there's no need to try to save it. But you can also save to an external drive if this is, or a cloud drive if this is something that you need. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that, of course, you can not only you can also see who's collaborating with you as you go. And the other thing is that there are tons of sharing options, right? So let's say that I just delete this second slide that I added. You can do it very easily. Just delete the page on your page options. And let's say that I mean, this is a presentation right now, and what I would like to do really is market my presentation. I would like to say, grab it and market it on Facebook or social media. I can simply just select whichever of these options I want. So for example, let's say that it's going to be a shared post or whatever. Let's just make a copy and resize it. And it will simply do it for me. I can do it in as many different sizes as I want. And the other thing is that you can actually send it out to all your different, so yeah, just created a Facebook post out of it. But let's say that I actually want to share it to a bunch of different social media platforms at once. I can say, okay, let's do Facebook, let's do Instagram, let's do LinkedIn and Twitter. And I can just, it will just continue populating here, and I can just edit the different posts and continue as I go and just send them there. Of course, I can tweak them and change them in here before I even post them. Of course, you can download them as anything that you want, pretty much any other, pretty much any format out there. And the other thing is that, of course, sometimes you want to also share with others or share to web. And let's say that for whatever reason, I go back to my presentation, which now only has one slide, but let's just say that I open more, and I want to share it with several people. I can do so very securely by sharing it to web. So essentially what's going to happen is people can either, if I select these, people will be able to see it as a presentation. They will be able to download it as a PDF, and I can have my logo or my branding in here. So let's just publish it, and it will create this share link, which, by the way, anytime that you actually change this this presentation or whatever file it is that you have, this share link can be updated, and it will continue hosting your files, which is a big difference with most, for example, CMS systems, where you have to keep uploading things, and it's a pain in the rear. However, one thing that I wanted to mention that goes hand in hand with this is that you can actually also check on your analytics. So if you're in sales or if you're in marketing, you typically want to check how your documents are performing, who's looking at them, if your different users are checking them out, or what pages they're checking out. And yeah, for example, here you can see views, and who it's been shared with, and what pages they actually checked out. So in this document, for example, they only looked at the first page, so that's not very encouraging. Typically, this is like stuff that I share with my team, and yeah, you can also see average time on page and all that. The other thing that I forgot to mention earlier on is that you also have different options here to see what's being shared with you. So there are different things, right? So at a personal level, you have your files. These are files that you create. You can create as many as you want. You can slice them and dice them. You can organize them with as many folders as you like. You also have shared with you, and these are files that someone has basically shared with you personally, that someone's working with you. And then you have team files. Team files are basically files that are, as the name states, company-wide or team-wide files are made available to everyone. And then you have team templates, which are available to the whole team or the whole company, whoever it is that you are working with, and they're very compartmentalized. So this allows for people to, let's say that you're working with franchisees, or if you're working with people that should come and self-serve and grab different brand assets or different different templates that represent your brand, they can do so without destroying your brand. They will always be there with whatever it is that you have locked in place, and they will be replicated with no issues, and they will only add to your brand instead of breaking it. And I think this is a bit of the mantra on what Xara Cloud is built on, being able to add on to your brand, not destroy it, while moving fast and creating freely. Before it was, I believe, many years ago, or for some other programs, it's more about having someone to guard your brand, and now it's that has changed. We're trying to shift that. That's all I have for you today, and now I will take as many questions as I can possibly take. So let's see. Start shooting. All right, so we have the first one from Henry. Okay, so what's the difference? What's the difference between us and Canva? Well, I think that there are many differences. The first one being that Canva is a last mile resort sort of platform. I will not trash another product. I think that this is a product that I have a lot of respect for. They have built a great platform where you have a ton of different choices. However, I think that there are 5 key differences. Well, first one is that Xara allows you to not only create, so the editor is a great thing, but it is a platform that is made to protect and add to your brand, as I showed earlier, to allow you to create on-brand experiences, to be able to expand your digital asset library and your digital asset and your content inventory without destroying it, rather adding value to it, so you're able to find and distribute as much content as possible in the safest manner that you can. And the other things are that Xara is also integrated with its desktop platform, so it's not only made for a single user at a single user perspective, but rather welcoming teams and uniting the designers or the design able with those that are not as much, and being able to give everyone the ability to create freely without harming and only adding quality to your brand. So it is very much brand and assets centered. The other thing is that you can, of course, continue maintaining ways to automate. For example, this is something that I will not have time to go over today, but for those who are in real estate, we are integrated to MLS. So essentially, one can import MLS data or external data into the different templates and simply create a library within seconds or minutes of doing so. And yeah, and it's all about scalability, really, and being able to maintain consistency rather than one-off design. I want to thank you again so much for coming today, for listening. And if you do have any questions, or if you want to go over Xara in real depth with us, we are always in the chat. We're always available to walk you through it, and we'd be happy to explain the product in a lot more detail. Thank you so much once again for coming to Xara one-on-one, and see you in the product. Have a great afternoon or day, wherever it is that you are. Bye-bye.